Greek police have arrested over 200 Syrian refugees who were attempting to cross a river into Greece. The asylum seekers were arrested near the border town of Orestiada. Police officials says the refugees were taking advantage of low water levels of the Evros River, which forms a natural border with Turkey. This is the second recent mass crossing of the river. More than 100 refugees were detained in the same border area last week. The Greek police have tightened their border controls as part of an agreement between the EU and Turkey to stop the flow of migrants and refugees to Europe. Stavros Mavrodias is a professor at the University of Macedonia, joining us to share with us his thoughts. So what do you think about this refugee cross-border attempt that is being made by these Syrian refugees? Is this part of the agreement, by the way, that Turkey has, of which it's obviously hard to keep a track of?
Well, it certainly affects the agreement with Turkey. It shows that the recent tensions between Turkey and the European Union and the US around the Turkish the tensions generated after the Turkish coup d'etat is not working properly. That is, this influx of refugees cannot happen without some complicity of the Turkish authorities. However, the problem is much more general, of course, in the sense that the refugee crisis that Europe is facing nowadays is caused by the collapse of several states and economies in Asia and Africa. And this collapse, of course, had internal causes, but also the Western powers, the European Union included, played also a critical role in that. So they have, to a great extent, caused this refugee crisis. The problem they have now is that they have to face the consequences, and there they play a double game. The dominant powers and the elites of the European Union, on the one hand, want some influx of working people because this will downsize wages and also help to fend the demographic crisis of several European economies. On the other hand, it cannot afford an uncontrollable influx, as this strains the already curtailed welfare system, and also an abrupt downsizing of wages foments social tensions and hostility to the US, to the European Union in Europe. So the European Union tries to manage the problem. Part of this management is turning peripheral countries like Greece to refugee concentration camps before filtering who and how many of these refugees they want to admit to European countries. And of course, this is disastrous for countries like Greece, peripheral countries in under adjustment and austerity programs with high unemployment and shrinking economies. So turning them to refugee concentration centers is totally disastrous.
Very well, thank you for that. Stavros Mavrodias, professor at the University of Macedonia, talking to us there from Athens.